From political shifts and economic updates to viral social moments and trending pop culture, we've got you covered with all the information you need to stay ahead. Whether it's breaking news, the latest from social media, or a deep dive into what's really happening on the global stage, you'll find it right here, delivered fast, clear, and to the point.
Hey everyone, welcome in. We're going to dive into what's happening with Hurricane Milton down in Florida, and it's a pretty tense situation. We've got live news, reports from people on the ground, and official statements all coming in, so we're putting it all together for you.
And it's not just a matter of, where's this hurricane heading, right? It's about what's going on with the storm itself, how it's changing as it moves. This isn't just like a little pinpoint on a map.
Yeah, okay, so break that down for us. What makes this hurricane different? What are we seeing?
So right now, Hurricane Milton is a Category 4, and that's on the Saffir-Simpson scale, which, yeah, that sounds pretty intense, and it is. The good news, I guess, is that it should be weaker once it actually hits land. And this is but it's actually doubled in size.
Whoa.
Yeah, so even if it's weaker, like a 1 or a 2 when it makes landfall, we're looking at a way bigger area being impacted in Florida.
Right, and I mean, Florida just got hit with Helene not that long ago. It feels like they're still drying things out from that one.
Exactly, and as of, let me check the very latest here. Okay, so as of right now, Milton's about 860 miles southwest of Tampa. So it's churning its way across the Gulf of Mexico. That's why I bet Governor DeSantis has already declared a state of emergency for 51 counties, I think it was.
51. Wow, that's a huge part of the state. What does that even mean for people who are actually down there?
It basically means everybody's getting ready, right? It's all hands on deck. Like, all the emergency services are on high alert. They're moving supplies and equipment into position. It's kind of like when you've got that pot of water on the stove and it's just about to boil over,
Oh, yeah.
Like, something's going to happen. It's just a question of how bad is it going to be.
I mean, this isn't just a Florida problem, is it? Like, hurricanes, they kind of make all of us think about, what if that was my town, right? Like, am I prepared for a disaster? I know I put that kind of planning off way too often. But seeing what's happening in Florida, it really makes you stop and go, wait a minute.
You're telling me. And we're already seeing people react because of that, Like, all those contractors who went down to Florida to help rebuild after Hurricane Helene, they're packing up, heading out ahead of this one.
Oh, wow.
Because they know they're going to have even more work to do once Milton hits. It's just this constant cycle.
And it's got to be weighing on people, Yeah, we see the maps, we watch the news, but those are real people down there going through this, and some of them just dealt with the last hurricane. Must be a lot to handle.
Yeah, it's like this very human instinct, right? To get ready when you know something's coming, even if you don't know exactly what. And we saw it before Helene, too. You're right. It's happening again. Maybe even more this time because it's so soon,
Yeah, like it brings back that memory that it can happen.
Yeah.
And we're seeing those pictures coming out of Florida.
Yeah.
Gas stations with the pumps all wrapped up in plastic wrap. Lines for sandbags that are totally insane, like Black Friday or something.
It's like everyone's holding their breath. And in the middle of all that, you've got people making these really tough calls. We wanted to highlight one story in particular from a guy in St. Petersburg. He's trying to decide, do I stay or do I go?
And this isn't theoretical for him, right? He's in one of the zones that could flood, but there's no order to evacuate yet, so he's stuck trying to figure it out.
And it's happening all over Florida right now, right? People asking, okay, do I leave everything and just go? Deal with being on the road, maybe not having a place to stay, not knowing what I'll find when I get back, or do I stay put and risk it?
Yeah, it's so easy to be like, just evacuate. But when you hear this guy talk about his situation, I mean, he's showing the camera debris that's still piled up from Helene. He's pointing to where the water got to in his building. You can just see the stress in his face.
And that's what always gets me about this kind of situation. It's like this massive risk assessment, but it's not just, is it safe? It's also, can I afford this? What about the emotional toll? There's no easy answer. You just have to do your best with what you know at the time.
Totally. And he said something that really struck me, something that I hadn't even thought about. He said St. Petersburg could basically become an island if the storm surge is bad enough.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's on a peninsula, so depending on how high that water gets, it could be cut off. It shows that even within evacuation zones, there are these micro zones, differences in how dangerous it is that can make all the difference.
Man, I had no idea. That just adds this whole other level of, like, how do you even decide? It's not just, am I in the zone? It's, do I know exactly what my risk is at my house?
Exactly. You got to connect those dots, right? From the big, scary hurricane down to what it means for you right there where you live. And that's what's so powerful about this guy's story, you know?
It really makes you think about, like, all the things that go into a decision like that. It's not just the storm. It's, your situation, who you've got, how much risk you're okay with. It's a lot.
It really is. And this guy, I mean, he's putting it all out there. He's sending his wife away, any documents he needs to keep safe. But he's staying. He's getting everything documented just in case, but you can tell he's hoping for the best, right?
Yeah, it's like that saying, right? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Sounds easy, but actually doing it, especially with a hurricane.
Right, and we can't forget the money part of all this either. Getting out of the way of a hurricane, that takes money. This guy, maybe he's lucky enough that he can send his wife somewhere safe, but not everybody can do that. Gas, hotels, food, on top of maybe missing work. It adds up fast.
It does. You forget, it's not like everybody's got an easy choice here. Lots of people, they just can't afford to evacuate, even if they want to.
Exactly. And that's where, we need better systems, more help for people so everybody has a real chance to make that decision, money or no money. But yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
For sure. Okay, so we're getting close on time, but just to kind of bring it all back, Hurricane Milton, it's still on its way to Florida. And they're still recovering down there from the last one.
Yeah.
And in the middle of it all, you've got folks like that guy we were talking about, just trying to do what's right for them, you know?
And his story, no matter what he decides, it's a good reminder for all of us, right? Be prepared, know what you're dealing with, have a plan. You can't control the weather, but you can control how you react.
So well said. Couldn't agree more. All right, well, on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive into Hurricane Milton. But before we go, we want to leave you with something to think about. What really stood out to you today? What we take away from this, from hearing about this hurricane, that you can use in your own life, wherever you are, right? Because knowing more, that's how we're all going to be ready for whatever comes next.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button. It helps the channel. And if you're new here or just haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future content. Oh, and don't forget to ring the bell icon so you'll be the first to know when we drop something new. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming up.